and they don't like OG, so I'm not going to go there. Now, I would like to start my short talk by just telling you the changing scenario. My mother got married when she was 16, and I was born when my mother was just 17. Now, I got married when I was 26, and I know my daughter will get married when she is 30. Because the age at which women get married, it keeps getting postponed because women want to be, they want to study, they want to have a career, and then they want to have a family. So we need to understand that many women will be embarking on pregnancy little late, and we have this biological clock. We know that all of us are born with certain number of follicles in our ovary, and by nature, as you get older, then there is a decline in the ovarian function. So there is no, the biological clock and your career clock, it doesn't go hand in hand. See, when you're younger, you want to study and you want to do well in your career, but at the same time, you're getting older. So we should understand that. And we also know by statistics that 10 to 15% of couple, they have problem conceiving after having tried for pregnancy at least for about 1 year. And you should also understand that now 20% of the women, they are attempting their first pregnancy after the age of 30, and in the Western world it is going to be 35, and women don't even want to start a family even at the age of 40. I know there is a huge demographic difference between South and North, between educated and not so educated, but these are the general statistics. And we know when women get older, when they reach the age of 35, then 1/3 of a couple. So in any infertility practice, the most important criteria is the age of the lady, very important. So when Dr. Anuradha gave me a talk as tribulations, and I was actually tribulating as to what I should talk, then in this last 1 week, we had 3 patients, and I thought I would just discuss this case scenario with you, just to bring out the tribulations of what the infertility, the lady can go through. My first patient is, she is a gynecologist. She finished her post-graduation. She is 34 years and currently working as a gynecologist, married since 2.5 years. Now she conceived soon after marriage, and when she had her first scan, she was told that she has got a fibroid. We know that as women age, fibroids are very common. One is probably a medium-sized intramural fibroid of 5 into 4 centimeters. Another very 2 small lateral wall fibroids. Now, the pregnancy was going smoothly and she was carrying on with her work. And she had her anomaly scan at 20 weeks and everything was normal. But unfortunately, this girl had a spontaneous miscarriage at 22 weeks. Now, as a gynecologist, she gets the blame that she kept working. She knew that she had a fibroid and she didn't take the so-called bed rest. But when you go into her history, the history of painless miscarriage was highly suggestive of a cervical incompetence. Now at this stage is where the general gynecologist and the infertility specialist should actually give the sound advice for the couple, because she herself is a gynecologist. Even though the history was highly suggestive of a cervical incompetence, because she had fibroid, she was advised to undergo a fibroid removal, which is myomectomy, which she underwent laparoscopically. But since then, she couldn't conceive. And she was getting older, and because of this, she was advised to undergo an IVF treatment. Unfortunately, we know the success of IVF could range between, say, 40 to 50, and the IVF was unsuccessful. And because of that, and because of the fact that she had a surgery, she was advised to undergo a hysterolaparoscopy, wherein you look at the abdomen and see why she was not able to conceive. Now she had extensive tubo-ovarian lesions. So this is to bring out, see, the distress of infertility. Being a gynecologist and knowing that the fibroids were probably not the cause of a miscarriage, but when you have a fibroid and when you miscarry, then what you really need to do is go into the history and find out whether it is just a casual factor or really a causal factor for her infertility. Okay, and so now she is all the more stressed because she is now 35, and because she is a gynecologist, she knows that her fertility is going to decline with age, and now she is in a fix. Now the tubes have been damaged because of the surgery, and so the only option is again an in vitro fertilization. And when the treatment fails, they need a lot of counseling, because to go through the entire process of infertility by taking so many gonadotropin injections, going through ovum retrieval, and then just waiting on tenterhooks whether it will be successful. So this is what this particular doctor is going through now. The second case which I want to present before you is a young girl, but she is obese, she has excessive hair growth, and she has irregular cycles, the typical features of polycystic ovarian disease. Even though she is just 26, she has been married for 7 years, and for a long time she was told by the family it is she who was responsible for infertility because she has irregular cycles. And by the time the husband was investigated, it was about 2 years into the marriage, then the husband was azoospermic. So when the couple go to a fertility specialist, the couple were advised to undergo a donor IVF. Now this brings about a lot of distress in the family. First of all, the male has to accept that he is azoospermic, and it is just not the hirsute female who was responsible for the fertility. So they took a very long time to come to terms that they have to go for a donor semen IVF. So the IVF was done, and 3 embryos were put back, and she got pregnant with triplets. Now again the dilemma started. The IVF specialist told that because it is triplets or high order multiple presentation, there is a chance of preterm delivery, and she was advised to undergo a fetal reduction to twins. Now the lady's question is, I see and I read in a lot of newspapers wherein women have delivered 4 and 5, so why are you asking me to undergo a fetal reduction? So by the time she was counseled that preterm delivery is very common with triplets, and then the whole family came to terms that, well, they will go for a fetal reduction to twins. It took some more time. So what she was expecting is to have 3 lovely babies, but what really happened was this lady was offered a cerclage, wherein they said, okay, you have this cerclage, but unfortunately this lady had a preterm delivery of twins at 24 weeks, and the babies stayed in NICU for some time, and she lost both the babies. So this is the whole scenario, because first the girl was blamed for the first couple of years because she had irregular cycles, and the male was never tested. And then when the male agreed to get himself tested, he was azoospermic, and then it took some time. Then that is why in the West they are saying that don't put back many embryos, then it causes a lot of dilemma. They are actually going in for single embryo transfer. Now this lady came to me, and all this happened in the last 1 week, so I thought I'll put all these cases. She was emotionally very, very upset. She said, doctor, after I had gone through everything, I had injections in every part of my body, and I was given bed rest. I was already very obese, and because of all this treatment, I gained about 20 kilos. I become really ugly. She was very emotionally upset, and she was depressed. And then now when she went back to her fertility specialist, Then they said, okay, it is your husband who is azoospermic. Now you're very, very upset because the IVF resulted in a preterm twin delivery. Why can't I give you a donor semen IUI? Now her question is, doctor, why did the fertility specialist not offer this simple treatment before? Why did they make me go through all the IVF, and when I'm really upset, then why are they saying like that? So I do not have faith in the system, and I don't want any more babies, and that's why she is. Now, the third case which I'm going to present in front of you, this is a very smart, she's an artist by profession, and she works in Cholamandalam Art Village. And she is 45 years, and I was very surprised at 45 years, her file was like this big, and I said, in my OP, I will not be able to read all your file. Maybe you can take a Xerox and leave it with me, I will read it and then I will decide. They've been married for 15 long years. They have undergone every single treatment that is available in the infertility armamentarium. Now, her only question to me is, doctor, I want a sincere advice from you as a general gynecologist as to what are my chances of really having my own baby. I do not want to go for a donor ovum, and I believe in centers they put back the ovum without telling you. See, the faith in the medical system, as they keep going for various treatments, it slowly starts coming down. And so she came to a general OBGYN just to find out a very sincere advice to all her questions. So these are the trials and tribulations of what the infertility people go through. And we know that as the lady advances, there are certain changes in the endometrium which makes the miscarriage rates higher. And she said, we have really spent all our money that we have earned over this year for so many IVF, which everything has failed. And when the IVF fails, we don't have answers as to why it failed. And I just want a sincere opinion from you. So everybody talked about that motherhood is, it's miracle. And the basic instinct in all women is to become mother. Yes, I agree. But then what I really want to say is, when the lady is going through all these kind of the treatment, I think it is very important for her husband to accompany her and give her all the medical and not medical, all the psychological and the emotional support. Because most of the time, what we general gynecologists see in our outpatient is, the lady is either brought by her own parents or by the in-laws. I think that has to change because it needs to make a noise. So I think both husband and wife have to come. And at least in my outpatient, I tell them, if your husband is so busy, then find a day when he is a little bit free, and I want to see both of you, because there are certain very private questions which you can only ask the couple. You cannot ask the mother or the mother-in-law. Now, when we talk about the tribulations, the so-called stigma of not able to have a baby, now most of the time the female is blamed, like our second patient, because she had irregular cycles, because she was obese, because she had hirsutism. The male, the husband was not tested for 2 long years, and she was very upset about it. And also, when we make the first consult, we need to listen to them and do only appropriate investigations. We shouldn't ask the so-called infertility panel. Supposing she is a young girl and she is menstruating regularly, I need not have to ask for anti-Mullerian hormone. Now, when we are giving them any treatment, low success rates have to be counseled. Supposing the male has only like 8 million sperms and they want only his own semen, and we have to tell them, look, the failure rate is going to be high, because each failure is going to mount pressure on them. And there is a high level of anxiety, because The other lady who got married along with her, she is already pregnant and she is going to deliver in another 2 months' time. And that causes a lot of anxiety. Or the younger brother who got married later than them, the lady has conceived. So they always compare, and we need to tell them that you are an individual. I mean, comparison is good if you want to achieve professionally, but not otherwise. So high level of anxiety and depression, and then there is a high dropout rate. And imagine that infertility treatment is time consuming and expensive. And also, the so-called bed rest when they go for infertility treatment, I think we as doctors also have to counsel them that except for certain situations, it is not necessary. Because I know of patients who don't even get up to use bathroom facilities. And that is wrong. And we as medical professionals have to tell them. And also there is the prolonged wait. And that's why the neighborhood infertility clinics are going to be very attractive. And many feel in a huge center they are not given adequate space and time. And there is lack of hygiene, privacy and confidentiality. And they are given so many injections and they have to go through a lot. And infertility treatment per se, one has to be very vigilant because you can have problems like ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, and then there is a heavy cost. With each treatment it is cost, and invariably it is the girl's family who is asked to bear the cost, which I think is not fair. And when we take them for treatment, we need to tell them, like how in normal pregnancy there can be an ectopic, there can be miscarriage, there could be a trimester loss. So infertility these can also happen, and we need to really mentally prepare them. Now, when you talk about the male partner, when you tell them that their semen analysis is very low, there is a reduction in the self-esteem when their semen profile comes as repeatedly subnormal, and that increases the anxiety and depression. I'm not saying that males do not go through anxiety and depression, they do go through, but the way they react is going to be different. And because of this, it can lead on to decreased libido. They can have erectile problem, ejaculatory disturbances. And now with a very high stress level of running around, working overtime, overseas travel, and the husband working in one shift in the morning 8 to 8 and the lady working in a BPO night 8 to 8, it's just not optimal at all for them. And then reverting back to fertility clinic after a failed treatment, especially IVF, the male, they find it very difficult to handle such a situation. Now what about the doctors? The fertility specialists, do they go through any trials and tribulations? Yes. Because when they come from a general gynecologist to a fertility specialist, their hopes are high, and then they think that everybody will ask, doctor, is there a guy, embryo is good, is my embryologist is good? And also, when there is an ecstasy because it is twins, and then they have a mid-trimester loss of pregnancy which has been conceived after several attempts, even the doctors actually go through a lot of stress with the patient. And also, the worst is when a colleague will tell your patient what the other doctor did is wrong, and I think we as medical professionals, we should never do this all time. We should be very, very sensitive when we talk to the patient, because see, they have spent a lot of money and the treatment has not failed. So they really are really in a very vulnerable state. And we as doctors have a responsibility to say, well, the doctor has done everything with good intention, but things can happen. So I think we owe it to our own colleagues. So with this, I would like to conclude my talk with the 3 slides saying that together we can. What we should do is the primary general OBGYN and the fertility specialist should actually work hand in hand. And there has to be a certain basic test which we all gynecologists have to do, and we should know when the patient has to go to the next level. So don't just hold on to your patients and let the patient benefit from the expertise that's available. And with that, I would like to thank the IMA branch of Chengalpet and Dr. Anuradha and Dr. Pechamani and my dear friend Dr. Chakravarti for having given me this opportunity and for this very special, very patient hearing. And I hope I've not bored you, because I know there are only very few gynecologists and orthopedic surgeons and urologists and neurologists. So, so thank you so much for the patient.
All of you will admit that fibrillations of both patients and the doctor, gynecologist. That's very important. So most of us don't share these things. So the sharing her own experience to come and give a small memento appreciation to Dr. Nirala. In fact, if any one of you want to ask doubts, you can ask. I think there is no doubt in this. And I think this is the most attended IME meeting and there are more number of gynecologists. I have never seen so many gynecologists attending